Well, hello everyone. This is kind of a weird video, but today I'm going to be trying to install Arch Linux on my computer. I've had a lot of experience with Arch-based distros and hopping around distros, and I think it's finally time that I just suck it up and install actual Arch. So I have a little capture card set up. I'm hoping everything's going to look good, and if anything doesn't, then you might not even be seeing this. So let's reboot and just get into the installation. Okay, here we go. So we have now gotten into the Arch Linux install USB. We are just waiting for everything to get set up here. It's going to take a bit. All right, so we should be in now, as you can see by the fact that we have our little prompt here. And I'm going to start by, well, the default key layout is good for me, just using the US key map. So we don't need to change any fonts. Let's go ahead and verify the boot mode. So this should be pretty easy here. We're going to cat out a certain file, and we get 64, which is exactly what we want to see. Now, luckily, I actually have Ethernet plugged in, so we're going to go ahead and ping and just see if this is going to work. So we're pinging archlinux.org, and we can see here that we are, in fact, receiving our data back. So that means our internet's working, and we can move on. Next, let's make sure that we get the time set right. So we're going to time date CTL, and that's going to set our time. Okay, so now it's time to partition our disks. So we're going to LSB OK, and then we are going to kind of differentiate from the Arch Wiki here. We're going to do something a little different. We're going to do gdisk instead of fdisk, and we're going to do it to dev nvme on1. So there we go. That should get us in there. All right, and we're going to print the current partition table, and it has all my partitions, which we are going to delete. So let's go ahead and do that. We're going to delete 1, we're going to delete 2, we're going to delete 3, we're going to delete 4. And now if we print, we should have nothing. That's great. And I think now I can start making a new partition. So it's going to be a default partition number at the default first sector. And we're going to make it 2 gigs because this is going to be our EFI partition. So to find the code, we just have to type in EFI, and we see it's going to be EF00. Beautiful. This is going great. So now if I print, yep, I have that partition on there. So we should be able to make a new one. Default partition number, default first sector. The last sector, so this is going to be my swap partition, and I want to make it bigger than my 32 gigs of RAM, so we're going to do 40 gigs. People say 1.5x, but honestly, 48 gigs of swap feels like excessive and a lot, so we're not going to do that. And once again, we're going to type L to find the swap, which is 8200 for Linux. Should be nice and easy. We're going to do another partition. This is another place we're going to be different from the Arch Wiki in that I want a separated root and home partition. So this is going to be my root partition with the default partition number and the default for sector. So all good. And then the last sector, this is another place where I'm going to give myself extra space just to be safe because storage is cheap, and I store a lot of my stuff on other drives anyway. We're gonna give myself 100 gigabytes for my root partition, so that's like installing a lot of programs and all that. So that seems reasonable to me. It's more than is recommended, which should be good, right? That should be fine. That's gonna be our last sector, and for this one we actually do want the Linux file system, so that's gonna be perfectly fine. And then we're gonna make one more partition. We're gonna check real quick, and yep, all that stuff looks good. We're gonna make our last partition with a default partition number, default first sector, and default last sector because we're using the rest of the drive, and it's gonna be another Linux file system. So now if we print that, that is all good, and we are ready to write that to the disk. So let's go ahead and just write that to the disk. I do see that it's gonna overwrite my existing partitions. I'm fine with that. That is good, and it's gonna take a second, but it's done. Let's go. All right. So now we can move on to the next step. So if I LSB OK now, you should see on my NVMe disk, I'm going to have a bunch of different partitions. So we just need to make the file systems on each partition. So it shouldn't be too bad. So we are going to mkfs, which is make file system. We're going to do ext4, and we're going to do that for dev nvme on1p3. So that's going to be my root directory. So yep, we're going to make an ext4 root directory, and we're going to make a ext4 home directory as well. So we're just going to change that 3 to a 4. That should be good. We are going to make swap, and that's going to be to our NVMe on1p2. So that's our 40 gigabyte swap partition that we're making right now. And then lastly, we're going to make a fat file system on our boot partition. So, okay. So now theoretically we've made all our file systems and we need to mount them. So we are going to mount. We're going to mount /dev/ our boot partition. Well, actually, let's start with our root partition. So our root partition is going to be NVMe ON1P3. That's going to be our root partition, the 100 gigs. And we are going to need to mount that to /mount. Now, the next thing we need to do is mount our boot partition. So to do that, we're going to mount --mkdir. And then we're going to mount our EFI partition, which is NVMe ON1P1. And we're going to mount that to /mount/boot. Now we're going to do the same thing here, where we're going to mount our next partition, which is our home partition. So this is our fourth partition, and we're going to mount that to mnt home. And now if I ls/mnt, I should have, yep, boot and home. That's exactly what we want to see. Now, the last thing, if you notice, if I lsb now, you see we have it mounted, but there's one partition we forgot about, which is NVMe ON1P2. So we swap on our swap partition, and now all of our partitions should be in use. And you can see we have them at mount boot, swap, mount, and mount home. Okay, that makes me think I'm doing things right. That makes me happy. So now we have to figure out our mirrors so that we can install packages. So we're going to use Reflector to do that. And we just need to set some flags here. So we want US mirrors. We're going to save 6 to, sorted by rate to our etc pacman_d mirror list file. We'll do that real quick. And now just to make sure that that worked, we're going to cat out the file. And you see we got 6 mirrors there, although no worries. All right, so now that we have everything set up to download our packages, we're going to go ahead and do that using packstrap to download them onto the mounted file system because we're just in the live ISO, so we can't use pacman. So we're going to do packstrap-k into mnt. And then on the ArchWiki, it says we need a few things. So base, Linux. You know what? Before we do this, weirdly, I want to check something. I want to figure out if I want to packstrap my CPU microcode. So I don't know if it's going to be installed. LSCPU, is that installed? Okay, yes. Okay, well, this is a problem because I can't scroll up and I don't have less. Do I have Vim? Yes. Okay, I actually, okay, that makes me feel good. The fact that I figured that out makes me happy. Let's see if we can see if we're vulnerable to anything here. So it says SMT vulnerable. Okay. So let's say we do want to, let's go ahead and install the microcode updates. That's good. And while we're here, let's get man in like the LDR. I actually think it's man DB and man pages. And you know what? Arch Linux suggests text info, so let's get that too. Why not? All right, so we're going to go ahead and install base, Linux firmware, Vim, base devel, network manager, Intel Ucode, mandb, man pages, and text info, all based on suggestions from the ArchWiki. So let's see how that goes. Okay, so we're done. And so far, everything we've been doing has been on this live USB environment, but we have one more step before we're ready to chroot. So we need to make an fstab. So we're gonna gen fstab. And I don't know if it's fstab or fstab. I've heard both. I think they're both fine. File system table, I mean, whatever, right? Fstab, fstab, it doesn't matter. We're gonna use UUIDs, and we're gonna do it from /mount. And we're going to put it in /mount etc fstab. So I think that's all right. And we're going to go ahead and cat that out real quick. And that all looks great. That looks perfect. So now we are officially ready to change root, which is the most exciting part to me. It doesn't really do anything, but it's like, oh, how's it gonna go? And we're going to essentially switch from our live ISO into the system that we have mounted in /mount, as far as I understand, which is the system that we have just all put together and configured. So fingers crossed, this is gonna work. Let's see. And we can tell that it worked because our root here is no longer red. So that's awesome. Now that we're in, we want to set the time zone. We're going to make a symbolic link. And we are going to link the time zone info, which I think is just US Eastern. Yeah. And we're going to link that into our etc local time. And that should all be good. And now we are going to run HW clock --sys to hardware clock. So now if we run, what is it, time? I think date. Yes, there we go. So my time is now correct. So now we need to set our locale. So we're going to use vim to go into etc locale.gen. And we just need to see, we need to find our locale. I believe we want English US. That's perfect. We're just going to delete this comment. And we should probably uncomment this one too. The other US one. So now that those are uncommented, we should be able to get out of here and then run locale gen. That should be good. And now I think we want to vim into etc locale.conf, if I remember correctly. Let me double check. Yes, that looks right. And we're going to set the language variable equal to what we just uncommented. All right. Now we also want to edit our etc hostname file. So we have a name for our computer. And I need to think of a good host name. Oh boy. We're going to go ahead and call our system over here Pack Maniac. I just think this is such a funny host name. There we go. We have edited our etc hostname file. And we're going to clear again. And now we need to set a root password. And now that we have our root password set, we need to make a user. We're going to user add, and we're going to have some flags here. We're going to do -m/g. So for the groups for the -g flag, I think we're going to do wheel and users. And then we need to set my password. And we have a password. We installed Network Manager earlier, I believe, so we're going to go ahead and enable that now. And we are almost done. I need to pick a bootloader. I want to go with system deboot. We know we're booted into UEFI mode, so we just need to run we need to run bootctl install. And that was pretty easy. Okay. So we need to edit the configuration now so that it actually knows where to find our system. So I believe, based on what I see here, we need to edit a file located in /boot/EFI. No, /boot/loader. And loader.conf. Yep. Okay, we're going to leave those comments at the top. That's fine. And it does say to be very careful here not to use tabs, so we're not going to do that. We're just going to use the example configuration they provided here for us. And that should be everything here. So yeah, we are going to exit that. I think now we need to look in bootloader. There should be, yes, entries. So if we look in bootloader entries, there's going to be nothing. So we need to make that. We set arch.conf as the default before. Now we need to actually make arch.conf. Okay. All right, so we are just copying again from the Arch Wiki. We're just going to go ahead and use the default. But you need to put in the UUID of the drive. And I remember this being a pain in the ass. So what we're going to do is I have this idea that I don't know if it's going to work, okay? So we need our root UUID, which is the one mounted right now. It's at root. just slash. So we are going to echo that into the file. So this theoretically, I think, should put it in there. So we're just gonna try. Oh my god, it did. All right, and then we're just gonna delete this new line here. And we can't forget to add permissions at the end. Well, I'm assuming those are permissions. They look like permissions, but I don't actually know. That looks good. And then what we're actually going to do is we are going to copy that into the same folder. So we're going to copy it to the fallback. And then we are going to edit the fallback to use the fallback initramfs. We're going to change the title to reflect that. So now, if we look at this folder, we have Arch and Arch fallback. That's so nice. Okay. And I've heard you should run bootctl. And yes, so I can see it does have options to boot. The default bootloader entry is Arch Linux. Okay. All right. It looks good. It looks good to me. Oh, okay. I think we are ready to try to boot into this. I'm so nervous because I wiped my drive. I got nothing. So we're gonna exit. So we're gonna exit our ch root. So we're back on the USB drive. And then if we look at mount, we have all this stuff mounted here still. So all we're gonna do is we're going to recursively unmount /mnt. So I'm so nervous, but okay. All right. Oh, please work. Please work. I'm going to reboot here. I don't think you're going to be able to see the reboot process. I don't know. So bear with me. Okay. I'm sorry you guys can't see it right now, but I am in system deboot and I'm booting into Arch Linux. Okay. Oh my gosh. So we're in. This is awesome. Of course, the first thing I'm gonna do is a nice Pac-Man SYU. Oh my god. Oh, you know what? I didn't make myself a sudoer. Okay, we're gonna do that real quick. We need to be root. And this is where we need to uncomment this line so that, because we're in the wheel group, so we should be able to do this now. And now we want to go back here, and now let's see if I can sudo. Okay, yes, I can. Great. There's nothing to do. Awesome. So now we are going to install, of course, the first package that should be installed on any Arch system, if I wasn't so stupid. Let's go. You know what? No, that doesn't do it justice. There we go. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. We've done this. We have a little bit more configuration to do, but so far so good. You know what? I think the first thing we're going to do is we're going to install Yay. So we're going to get Git going here. It's fine. Now we're going to go ahead and just clone the Yay repo. We are going to go into Yay, and there's a pkg build, so we should just be able to make package. So we're going to go ahead and run our make pkg.si here, and we should have Yay. All right, so we should have Yay installed now. I'm just going to go to my home directory, and we are going to remove Yay. We don't have that anymore. And let's go ahead and enable our network manager, and that looks good. So we can hop out of there. We have that started, and let's get btop so we can see everything running now. It's awesome. Of course, the most important thing is being able to change your color theme. Although I'm not sure how that's going to work here. Let's see if I do. I don't think that worked. I might be wrong. I don't think it works in the TTY. That's fine though, because the next thing we're going to do is install the desktop environment. So, or I guess window manager. So I'm trying to figure out what I want to install on here. because it's complicated right now, okay? KDE is the easiest to use for like gaming and stuff, but I don't love it. Hyprland is good, but I've kind of used it a lot, and not that that's bad. It means that I have a decent understanding of it. I just am like, oh, do I want to use it? And then Neri is awesome, but I don't have much experience with it, and I actually think it works a lot better with a trackpad. So I would really like to install that on Asahi once I get that set up on my Mac, which I think I want to do a video on as well. So I'm like, I don't know what the right thing to install is. I think Hyprland to start out is probably where we want to start. Oh, and then yeah, like Cosmic is right around the corner. I really want to try Cosmic, but I don't think it's quite ready yet to be the first thing I install on my Arch system. So let's do Hyprland. I know, don't sound so excited. And let me just make sure that that installed X Wayland. It did. Okay, good. Okay, so we have Hyprland installed. Let's install HyperPanel. Okay. Oh, you know what? I forgot one thing. We want to get SDDM. Let's just do this. I guess it's not a systemd service. Oh my gosh. Okay, great. And then let's do this for SDDM. What is going on? Oh my gosh, I am so silly. I just need to put enable here. All right, great. Gosh. Okay. I didn't read the error correctly. Now let me make sure UFW is working. Well, it isn't. It says firewall is active and enabled on system startup. Maybe I need to reboot. Okay, well, let's reboot and then we should be able to get into Hyprland. Okay, let's go. So I got into SDDM. Now, do I want to use UWSM managed? I guess we will. It says on the Hyprland wiki it's the recommended way to start Hyprland. I've never used it before. I also didn't install UWSM, so I hope that doesn't cause any issues. It immediately caused issues. Okay, so let's go to a TTY. Funny story, I bought a keyboard that doesn't have VIA support, like an idiot. I thought it did because the company makes other keyboards that have VIA support. And I have a problem where on Windows, it correctly identifies the F1 through F12 keys as function keys. But on Linux, it is only bound to like audio control and stuff. So every time I want to switch to a TTY, I need to pull out another keyboard. So let's do USWM. I don't know why I keep doing that. It's UWSM, Universal Wayland Session Manager. Okay, so that's done. So now I should be able to go back to, yeah, here. And hopefully it'll start now. Okay, let's go. All right, so we have Hyprland. And you guys can't see because I don't have these displays mirrored. We need to figure out monitors. And hopefully this will work. Okay, great. All right, so I had to do a little bit of configuration there, but now you guys can see that what I'm doing, which is great. Awesome. So all I did is I listed my monitors and then I put my monitor configuration in here. Very simple. We're going to get rid of some of this stuff. I believe I installed Thunar, so we're gonna do that. Menu is not gonna be Wofi. I need to install it, but it's gonna be Rofi Wayland. Let's actually go ahead and do that and get that going real quick. And just make this kind of the way that I like it. You know what, we're just gonna, bye-bye. What do we want? SWWW, fine. Exec wants HyperPanel and SWW daemon, I believe. And then we're just gonna, we will leave this the way that it is for now. I have my own configuration for some of this stuff. So We're just going to leave it at default for now because I don't want to get it all at the moment. So everything else here looks fine. Get some of these keybinds fixed up for me real quick. Now, if I do this, it should open Thunar, and oh my gosh, that Thunar theme is atrocious. We're gonna need to install something for that. Well, let's start by... okay, let's go to Firefox first. I need to get my fire. Oh, do I want Firefox? This is so rough. Oh my gosh, I'm all over the place. Doesn't look like they have Zen browser in here. They have the Zen kernel, which might be worth installing, but we're not going to get that right now. We are going to look at for the Zen browser. I probably want the binary. Let's do that. Now this seems buggy as hell. What is going on here? Here's what we're going to do. So I have Zen set up, and we're just going to go to Wallhaven. And we're going to find an awesome, incredible wallpaper with something very nice. Let's go for this one. I like this one. We're going to get a 1080p image. We're just going to save it. All right, and let's rename it to Arch Wallpaper. And let's head back over here. So let's move that over. Oh, so my home directory doesn't have anything in it. Right. Okay. No, that seems like something that we should probably figure out. So let's install XDG user directories. And that way I should have my directories. I might need to run something just like so. All right. I think that's it. So now if I look at my downloads, it should work. And if I try to move this again, now if I look at pictures, that's going to work. Okay, beautiful. So now I can, for example, sww image, and then do that. IMG. Right. Okay, I need to start sww daemon, which I added to my Hyprland, but I did not restart it, so it's not going to be running. We're going to disown it, and so that should work. Now if I restart this, I should be able to set my wallpaper, so that's beautiful. Let me edit my Hyprland config real quick, just because it's going to make things a little prettier. 0.9, we'll do inactive at 0.7, like so. And that's quite nice. Oh yeah, we can also hyperpanel and disown because we went ahead and installed that. And I don't want to do a whole bunch of configuration. Oh no, I need to configure my kitty, but yes. I don't want to do a whole bunch of configuration, but this bar is just a bit too big for me. So I'm just going to do that real quick. What has happened? Okay. Why did this not work? If I do 550, it just breaks everything. What the... Okay. All right, what if I do 500? Okay, it's happy with that. That's fine. And we'll put this back how I like it. We'll keep it simple for now. We'll just do like global colors. And yeah, we'll leave it like that for now. I don't want to do too much configuration here. But at this point, from where we are, I mean, we have set up pretty much everything that I would say is like necessary, right? We have a web browser, we have a bar, we have some basic configuration. I mean, I would say we're doing pretty good for ourselves. And I think that might be where I want to leave this one off. I've been recording for almost 2 hours, and I think this is a good place to leave it off. So thanks for watching. Thanks for following along. Hopefully I didn't say anything too wrong. If I did, feel free to correct me in the comments, because I don't know what I'm talking about. This was my first time like really sitting down and installing Arch Linux, and it was pretty fun. So yeah, let me know if there's anything that you want to see me do. I do want to do some Asahi Linux in the future, but for now I'm just going to sit here and get configuring some more. So yeah, thanks for watching.